Regulations. Sounds like a great thing. Let's make sure everyone has a minimum safety, minimum desired effect, knows the rules of the game, and has someone else enforce them. Hi, I'm Nick. I'm a medical doctor turned soul doctor. I talk about lots of different things, and I guide breath and other ways to increase and expand consciousness so that you can actually choose what to do. And regulations are one of those things that I used to think, oh my God, bigger government, more regulations, we'll get everything right. And now I'm realizing, after having traveled again around the world and seeing places where there's less regulation, where there's more freedom in a way, where there's more danger in a way, where there's more outliers, that it's not necessarily a bad thing. If anything, one of the reminders to me is back here where I live right now in the Vancouver area, the regulations, for example, around building a home, building a condo are so intense that it actually more than doubles the cost and the time to build the building, and may not actually be serving, because as we create more regulations, the builders are building to the minimum regulations rather than using their good common sense and saying, who's actually living here? So in the building I'm in, it may follow code and regulations, but the way the homes are laid out makes zero sense, that there's no exhaust to the washer and dryer. It fits regulations, but man, you've got inefficient washers and dryers that keep failing, so much so that they had 40 extra washers and dryers available for early failures. But they didn't tell anyone because they didn't want everyone to jump on it. And so people were buying new ones, including ourselves. Our landlady had to buy new ones because we didn't even know they existed. And then we may be following regulations, but the floorboards are literally made of like cardboard. There's failures all around. There's a disparity. The first 2 floors on the top level have the heat pump units, whereas none of the lower floors do. So there's almost like this class disparity. There's sensors that prevent you from getting into the elevator from the parkade now. They just installed those. You can walk up the stairs, but what if you're disabled and trapped in the parkade? Right, all these things follow regulations to, I'm sure, a T, because it's important to. But does it actually serve? The plumbing has been backed up so many times already, and this is a 2-year-old building. The warranty, you can see the cracks in the foundation. You can see the building shaking and shuddering with the trains, but it's to regulation. There's only one common room for over 100 units to regulation. But is that actually serving? Right, if you actually lived here, would you only want one common unit that you all have to fight over for an entire building like this, when what's the nominal cost of a second one? Do you really want to have the strata charge tens of thousands of dollars? Do you really want to have a slow elevator or a slow gate that opens and closes? They tried putting a fast one and kept failing, but what would have served better? Do you really want parking to be outsourced so that everyone who's coming in visitors is getting a ticket, even the people that live here? So there's all these things that are regulation based, but is it actually serving? And how do we step outside of this? I don't have the answer. How do we step outside this when we've gotten more and more into regulations? And as we keep doing this, we get lost. And the people even who are doing the enforcing, oh man, you can see them, they're like, this is a thankless job, but as I'm in it, it's got job security, how do I leave it? And so everyone is just trudging through and saying, throwing up their hands going, this is just the way it's going to be. And it's going to keep moving this direction. And you know what, if it's going to keep moving this direction, let's spend some more money to lobby, to cajole the politicians to make the rules better and more friendly to me so I can play with them, knowing that this is slowing everything down, knowing that it's actually limiting the entrance, knowing that it's actually making the buildings worse, knowing that it's actually degrading the system, but how do I get mine while I still can? And it's reminding me, how do we step outside of the system sooner? And how do we notice when people have possibly good intentions, but have they actually looked at it? There's now a regulation where you can't burn inside the fireplace that you have in your home from Vancouver to Chilliwack. And the whole idea is that it's reducing smoke. And if you do want to, you've got to register it. And if you do want to register it, you have to actually buy government approved wood, is what I'm hearing now. I don't know this to be true. This is totally hearsay. And I wouldn't put it past our current way of doing government. And I, up until very recently, would have been very much on board going, oh my God, this is improving the air quality for my lungs. Who needs to do this silly stuff? And nowadays I'm realizing how important fire is. Literally, we keep highlighting the fact one of the most important innovations we've had is when we actually realized we could start fires. And what does that mean for generation of energy? What does it mean for reclaiming and reinvigorating land? What does it mean to have controlled burns? And knowing that the indigenous populations always did that. And why is it important we've forgotten? And now we've got these giant, massive forest fires. We're complete kindling. And why is that the case? How have we gotten here? How have we gotten here? Even the regulations that the forestry companies have to replant, tree planting. And the way we do tree planting, we plant it all at once, which means they all grow in the sunshine, which means they grow really quickly, which means they grow really weak, which means they grow into trees that fall over, which means they grow into kindling, essentially. So we're actually building the environments for more fires to happen in the future. So take a look at the regulations. Take a look at your own relationship to regulations. Take a look at, can you see some of the hidden orders, some of the hidden games that are playing? And do we really want to keep perpetuating these games? And how do we get out of the side of this? First is say, do I really want this? And then to say, I don't know. Because unless you really feel like you know a better answer, play somewhere else. Unless you really want to tackle this, play somewhere else. But send a little bit of love that way. Hey, I'd really love for someone who really loves to play with these things in a different way to step into this, because we could really use it. All right? Ciao for now.